welcome back to my channel. So one of the most important things you should know when you're cooking or you're in the kitchen is proper knife skills. So today I'm gonna have my husband, he is actually a trained chef. He went to culinary school in San Diego. So he's gonna be showing us the proper ways to use a knife. So let's get to it.
Hey guys, so my name's John, and like my wife said, I went to culinary school at San Diego Culinary Institute in obviously San Diego. I worked in a couple high-end restaurants down there. I did my externship with the US Grant Hotel in San Diego. So obviously being in a really high-end type atmosphere with the type of cooking that I was doing, I was very focused on traditional French technique, or traditional French cuisine, because of the fact that it deals mostly with technique. When you're cooking at that kind of level, that's what you're focusing on. Everything being very uniform in the way it's cut and shaped and the way it looks. It's very artistic, and I love it. I love the fine dining stuff. Some people don't like the hoity-toity fancy plating stuff, but me, that's kind of my thing. Anyways, so the reason that knife skills become kind of so important in a lot of cases is because not just you want it to look good, have everything be all uniform for the appearance sake, but things actually cook better when they are shaped the same all the way around. It gives it a more even distribution with the heat to be able to cook everything more properly and more evenly throughout the whole dish, so you don't end up with parts that are burnt, overcooked, undercooked, everything like that. So first and foremost, knife skills, that is what you want to work on. Now, when working with knives, one of the most important things is it doesn't matter if you have a high quality knife or a low quality knife. You can look around, shop different types of brands, things like that, but if your knife is not sharp, it's not going to be a good knife. It doesn't matter if it's the most expensive knife. If it's not sharp, it's not a good knife, plain and simple. The sharper the knife, the easier it is to use. You actually have a lot less issues cutting yourself if you have a sharp knife than when it's dull. I've known that from experience. Spend enough time in the kitchen, you'll learn for yourself as well. So with sharp knife, you don't always have to sharpen it real crazy. This right here, we have I forget the name of this one. It's like a chef's knife, but it's slightly smaller. I don't know why I'm forgetting the name of it, but this is my favorite type of knife to use. I feel it works better in my hand, and you want to grip the knife a little higher up. You have a lot of people try and grip the knife down here. This is one of those things that are going to help you in the kitchen. If you actually grip it higher up, right about here, in between with the blade on the thumb and forefinger, it actually gives you a little bit sturdier grip and a little bit more control. So with a knife like this, you want to go ahead and sharpen it with a sharpening rod like this every time you use it, just to make sure that it's got that nice clean edge on it. And there's a couple ways you can do this. Some people like to go towards themselves. This way, you may have seen people do this in cooking shows or things like this. I absolutely despise sharpening my knives this way. I can't do it, I hate it. It's awful for me. I don't like cutting towards myself. I prefer to cut away. Now, the big key thing here is you want the knife at about a 45-degree angle is what is recommended. I don't know so much about the numbers. I kind of just have a feel for it. And you go over it a couple times. You get it down, you know, where you just don't even care about it. And you get that feel for it with enough practice. And then, so you've got a couple different types of knives that we're going to be using with today. I have a bread knife, which is serrated, and then a paring knife as well that I'll be going over with. And with these three knives, really, you can do a lot of different things, just with these ones. The bread knife, I like the serrated edge, not so much for the bread. I don't do much baking, so it's not something that I really do a lot of. But since we're talking about the chef's, or the bread knife or the serrated edge, the reason I like them is for tomatoes. Now, usually you would think tomatoes, you always want to be using a chef's knife or something like that, because that's typically what you would think of for when you're using cutting up tomato. But, and I didn't either. It's not something they really taught us in culinary school. I picked up this trick actually, I think when I was working my internship at the US Grant. Now, tomatoes, the reason I like a serrated edge is just because of that skin is so spongy, rubbery almost. It's just, the knife seems to slip around on the skin of the tomato quite a bit. So with that serrated edge, it allows you to grip, get that in there real quick. And then from there, I like to take that, so the way I cut up tomatoes is I like to take it right down that edge right there, like I just did. And then go ahead and get the serrated knife in there, just kind of like that. And you're just gonna go around the skin. Oops, messed up a bit, but oh well. Not a big deal. And you're just going to go ahead and remove that core, because that really is kind of junky. Now there's a couple different methods on tomatoes, onions, things like that. And keep in mind, I'm talking more traditional French. fine dining cuisine. Now this means everything is pretty. We don't use all parts of the food. We want stuff that actually looks good. So there's gonna be a little bit more waste than you might be used to. There's a few things you can do with that. If you're somebody who's big on, I don't like to waste things, you can find other ways to repurpose the leftover parts for soups, stocks, things like that later on. Or if you do like me, because I'm big into gardening, I just throw it in the compost pile. And then I know that I'm not wasting anything because all of those scraps are going into feeding my plants in an organic way that gives me more food later on without any chemicals or anything like that in my garden. So now you've got this nice big piece of tomato right here. You get it like this. If you need to come back through and clean up a little bit of these, I forget what the center part of them's called, but you know, you can just bring the knife right along the edge and come right through, clean that up. Now I'm gonna go ahead and cut this in half so it's a little bit more manageable. And what we're gonna do from here is I'm gonna set this part to the side and I'm gonna go, actually I like the way, yeah, we'll do this one. Okay, so this is how you would julienne, what we would call it. Julienne is simply, think of a matchstick for the size and the shape. You just want something that is really uniform and about the size of a matchstick and just all the way across. And you just want to try and get it as close to the same size and shape as possible so that it's got that nice, clean, uniform look. Now you can go ahead and work your way through the rest of it quick as you get more experience and get better at it. But there you go. Nice, clean, uniform cuts. So we'll set that to the side. So moving on to avocado, because I hate doing onions. Fun thing about onions, and this is why I hate doing onions right now, onions are actually a really good indicator if your knife actually needs to go to a more professional type sharpening and needs to really be sharpened rather than just using a sharpening rod to kind of give it a quick touch up. Because an onion actually, well, I guess I should wait on cutting the avocado. We'll just cut the onion while I'm talking about it. But an onion is actually a good indicator because it will, when you're starting to see that crying stuff and you know your eyes are starting to water and it's burning, yeah, it happens a lot of the time with me too. And it happens right now because my knives need a much more sharpened, or they need to be sharpened better than just what the honing rod can do. And so if you're having that issue, it might be a good sign that you need to take your knives in to sharpen them as well. So what we do with onions is we take that chef's knife. I like to cut off both edges, or both the ends right there, so that you get that nice clean look. Like I said, scraps, get rid of them. They don't look good anyways. And then you're gonna wanna do similar to what we did with the tomato, where you're not gonna cut all the way through, but you're gonna go ahead and cut just that first layer like that, just right through. And so that way you can just come through and peel that right off. All right, yeah, you're taking one whole layer out extra, but like I said, we're not poor, we don't care. No, I'm just kidding.
Like,
kind of. No, it's good for compost, it's good for the way it looks. You know, food is supposed to be something that is not just to make you live. It's supposed to be something that is art and tastes good and brings people together, and it's something that sets the mood. And if you're eating just to survive, then your mood is going to be that you're just surviving. So it's nice to have things that look pretty and taste good and are really well done because it just makes you happy. Once you get to this point, then what you're going to do is, sometimes people think that they would cut the onion kind of along where I would say like the equator of the earth would be, kind of like that middle line. If you're looking at a sphere, you know, they want to cut it this way. Actually, you want to go right across, you know, more like north to south pole type thinking. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it right in half, just like that. So you'll get the core right here. You can go ahead and take that part out or leave it, kind of up to you. I'm more for I like to take it out again, because it allows me, as I'm going through the rest of this, to come out with a much cleaner look. Now, it's not that big of a deal how it comes out. I mean, you can just peel them out with your hands a little bit, or you can go through with a knife. I'm just kind of showing you a mix of both, even though, you know, this part means I'm going to end up struggling a little bit because they're just kind of a pain. But I mean, like garlic and shallots and a few other things, you know, they just kind of are. So you get to this point, I don't like the way that one looks. So, I mean, you'll see, like I pull this much out so that I can get to this portion that yes, this seems like it's a lot of waste, but guess what? This is a portion that's not going to get cut as uniform. It's going to make things more difficult for me to do, and I don't like the way it looks, and I'm not going to bother. Okay, so then what we want to do, if we're doing something like a dice with the onion, is you want to pick one end and not cut quite all the way through, and kind of come at a line without going all the way through to the other end. You're just going to want to set it up on one side so that way it holds together really well. And I'm actually not doing that great of a job of keeping this even. It's been a while since I've cooked super meticulously. I've been kind of lazy in the way I've cooked lately, and so just out of habit.
No, I just do it. So.
And that's true too. So then once you slice through to there, you know, when you're mincing garlic and stuff like that, then you want to come through and do maybe another cut here and here, kind of separate out those layers a little bit more. But for dicing an onion, I mean, just, you know, just bring it through. And there you go. And so with a dice, you know, not really much to do, but just pile it up. Set that to the side. And then you've got all this left over. You can chop up, throw into a stock or a soup, you know, use it for mirepoix. You know, especially if you don't know what mirepoix is, that's a really good one to learn. But I mean, onion, carrot, celery.
We throw it into our compost though, so we don't waste it.
Yeah, we throw everything into our compost. All the organic matter that we can, and it goes right back into the garden. So there's onion. Now avocado are a fun one. Not necessarily everybody knows how to cut one up. So same thing, like that onion, I'm gonna go north pole to south pole all the way around, trying to get that pit. Okay, and then once you go all the way around, north pole to south pole and south pole to north pole again, you just twist, and there you go. Now from here, you're just going to want to take the knife, slam it in, twist, seed comes out. Slap it on a trash can or your cutting board, seed pops off, good to go. You can throw that seed away. Yeah, I'll throw it in the compost pile. If it comes back as a tree, I'll just plant it and see how the avocado comes out. Now, this is the only part of the avocado that I use a chef's knife for. From here on out, I use a paring knife for the next portion, at least. And you're going to make a little slit just along the rind or the skin of the avocado. Going again north to south pole after it's split in half. And from there, let's just get your fingers in there and peel it off. Takes a bit, it's not that fun. Well, it's not that fun if you don't like to get your hands messy, but I mean, I like to cook, I like to dig in the dirt, so I'm perfectly fine getting my hands dirty. It doesn't bother me none. Okay, and then once you get to there, I don't like that little end on it, so I'm going to take that off. And then from here, you just come down and you can do some nice slices, just right along. And now keep in mind, whenever you're working with a knife, you know, you want to be careful with your fingers, but cuts are going to happen. So you're really just looking at trying to have them happen as little as possible. It's kind of like when riding a motorcycle, you're going to end up crashing at some point. If you're working with knives, there's a good chance that at some point you're going to cut yourself. Get over it. I've cut myself more times than I can count. I've got scars on my fingers that are permanent from cutting myself.
Well, obviously be cautious, not just get over it.
Yeah, things happen. You're grabbing a big bunch of celery, or not celery, I mean parsley, and you're running through them with scissors because you got a 500-person banquet that you're cooking for, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, the scissors slip and they're going through your finger. I've got a scar on this finger right here from that. I cut through this finger, almost cut the whole tip off while chiffonading basil during a test for culinary school that I was getting rushed on. Things happen. That's just all there is to it. But one of the things that'll help mitigate getting yourself cut, obviously things happen, but pulling your fingers back is a big step in the right direction. If you've got them out, move that knife. If you've got them out like this, I mean, you're coming down, miss, and you're going through your finger. Pull them back, and those knuckles will rest right against the blade and give you that safety net so that you're not hitting your fingers as you're coming down. So that way you can just move real quick through, and you're coming along with your fingers pulling back with that knife, following it through. Anyways, there you go. That's some of the basic knife skills. It's not everything that can be done with a knife and not all of the different types of knife skills. So definitely do some experimenting and take a look out there, but hopefully this gives you a step in the right direction and an idea on how to get started on mastering those knife skills.
All right, if you guys made it this far, thank you so much for watching. And to be honest, I am so excited to start this YouTube channel. I love cooking. Anyone in my family knows it. And I'm so excited to share the recipes that I'm making. I'm also always learning new recipes too. If you guys have any questions or if you have any like certain recipes that you would like to learn that I haven't posted yet, let me know, and I might actually have a recipe, I just haven't made the video for it. So let me know what you want to see. I would love to hear your feedbacks in the comments below. Anyways, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today,